Hey everybody, it's Father Ryan, and I hope you're doing well. This is a little introduction video to a series that I want to present to you about making the case for Jesus and his divinity, that he really is God. There was an article that was recently published. I just read it in a magazine just not too long ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, that in a recent survey of 3,000 Americans, for the first time ever, majority of people say that they do not believe that Jesus is God. 52% of those who answered the survey, 52% of Americans say that Jesus was just a great teacher, but he's not really divine. In fact, 75% of people said that Jesus is kind of the greatest creature that God created, the greatest person God created, but he's not really God. And just using some research, what's the historical basis that we have for the claims that Jesus is God? There was a book that was published not too long ago by Dr. Brant Pitre called The Case for Christ. And I want to just use some of his research that he did in the book. You can purchase the book if you'd like and read it. It's a great book about making the case for Jesus. There's been much debate just in the last century about whether Jesus claimed he was God, whether that's a historical claim that we can even make, or whether it's just Christians after the time of Jesus who kind of elevated him to a divine status. So a lot of people will claim Jesus didn't believe he was God, but that after his death, the Gospels were kind of like, at first, kind of anonymous writings that circulated and that were copied, and kind of like the game of telephone, over and over, as these were passed down and developed, that Jesus kind of took on this divine status amongst his followers, and that the Gospels as we have them now weren't written until really weren't finally in their state that we have them now until maybe the early 2nd century, and were the result of a development of lots of ahistorical additions, things that are unreliable, that weren't based on eyewitness claims about what Jesus really said and did. So in this series, we're going to examine the claims that Jesus is God. Is that something that Jesus himself said? Did he claim that? Are the Gospels reliable historical sources that we can take to be reliable witnesses about what Jesus said and did? Do they really go all the way back to Jesus himself, or were they distorted by the early Christians? What about the other writings that claim to be Gospels? The Gospel of Thomas, Gospel of Peter, Gospel of Judas. Maybe you've seen some of these things or heard about them. We'll look at that. And we'll look at whether Jesus is just a great teacher or whether he really is who he says he claims to be, and the Gospels witness him to be, that he's God. And so the idea that Jesus never claimed that he was God is very widespread, and I hope this series will help you explore that question, explore the historical evidence that we can say, yes, indeed, he did claim that he was God, and how we know that, and what historical evidence we have to back that up. So I hope you continue to join us in these videos and as we explore these questions.